What's up, dudes? We've got ourselves a boat project to work on. This is an old one, oldest boat I've ever owned. I wanted to get one of these early 60s, late 50s boats where they had fins on them like the cars of that era had. For whatever reason, I just thought it was cool. I think they look really nice. They're nothing spectacular. A lot of times you can find them fairly cheap. I run across this one. I paid $400 for it. And my thought process is, if nothing else, you know, I can get a lot of my money back out of just the trailer. So that's what I'm thinking with this thing. I want to do a budget build on it because these boats, even if they're like in pristine condition, they do not bring a whole lot of money. I've seen some of these boats for sale, not this particular brand, because I can't find anything on these boats hardly. By the way, this is supposedly it's a 1964 Owens Runabout. I don't know. I mean, apparently it's an Owens because it says so on both sides. But, like I said, I can't find any information on these. Anyhow, you find boats of this era, fiberglass runabout boats, in really nice condition that someone has halfway restored. You know, something like I'm probably going to try to do for like $4,000. So, I'm going to have to really keep it on a budget. And this thing needs a lot, unfortunately. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to try to do it all in one video like I did the blue boat. Hopefully it can get some views. I know most of you guys are John boat guys, but hopefully I can keep this kind of compressed and it'll pique some interest of some other people too, draw them to the channel. And not to mention, I just want to do something different than a John boat because I am wore out on them. All right, let's take a look at this boat. Like I said, this is a 1964, I believe. I don't have any paperwork for it, so I'm just going by what the guy said that I bought it from. 1964 Owens Runabout. Runabout's just a style of boat that they made in the late 50s and early mid 60s, I believe. You know, nothing just crazy. You can pull maybe a skier behind it, but it's not like a speedboat. Definitely not a fishing boat. Just a cruise around the lake boat. Said it's apparently is an Owens because it says that, and luckily it has those on both sides of the fins. I think that's pretty cool. No interior whatsoever, which is going to be a cost factor. I mean, I hate to cut some drastic corners, but I might have to go a little cheap on this thing. But anyhow, the motor is I'm not sure what year it is. I haven't run the numbers. The guy I bought it from said it was a 40 horse. I'm not exactly sure. I kind of did a quick search on it, and a 1964 Johnson looks a lot like this, so it's within that era. He said he had it running with the pull start last year, but the starter is messed up, and he said the fuel lines were bad, so I'm not sure. Probably gonna be the first area that I mess with is this motor, because if I can't get it running, and I don't want to dump a whole bunch of money into this old motor that's probably not worth that much to begin with. If I can't get it running, I'm going to have to look at repowering this boat, or, you know, scrapping the whole thing and saving the trailer. Like I said, it's a pretty good little trailer. I definitely need some work. We'll get to that in a second. But, like I said, 40 horse Johnson, I'm just assuming it's mid-60s. The steering cables are very wonky and not hooked up. I'm assuming these are little tabs for like a ski rope, that's kind of neat. Not sure what these are. It's got them on both sides. 64, so it doesn't have a whole ID on it, but it does have a plate on the inside with a serial number on it. Well, we're missing this panel right here. That sucks. I'm either going to have to get super crafty or just go without, because, like I said, I was only able to find one boat that was this same model, and it was just pictures of one for sale. So there's that. I bought a brand new battery for it. That's the only thing I bought for this boat so far, because I didn't have one with it. I hooked it up just trying to see if anything came on. We don't have a key. I'm not sure if stuff's key on power or not, but nothing worked. We have a fairly new gas tank there, an older gas tank, a starter. Said nothing in the inside of this thing. We're gonna have to put some seats in it. I think he said he couldn't get the throttle cable working, I believe. Said no key, we're gonna have to figure out that issue. The rest of the dash seems to be pretty fine. It looks like it might have had some kind of bimini top on it, which we don't have anymore. I'm not sure what these clips right here are for. They had them on both sides. I'm assuming some kind of way to secure the top, because there's some right here too. Cool horn. This thing looks really cool. Look at these nav lights. I mean, you don't get stuff like that on boats nowadays. Which it don't work, but it could just be bulbs. This windshield is broke, and it will be impossible to find another windshield, so I'm going to try my best to get this thing out of there and try to glue that back together. I mean, I know it's not going to look great, but hopefully I can halfway fix it. So the boat's pretty structurally sound. It does have a couple holes in the top of this fin where somebody added something at one time. I'm going to take this stuff off, whatever it was, along with all these, because I'm going to have to do some fiberglass patching on it. Someone has tried to patch the keel at one time, and you see that water drip right there. I'm assuming that's the hole they tried to fix. It won't be that big of a deal. Fiberglass is actually pretty easy to work with. So while I'm fixing that, I'm going to go ahead and hit all these little holes too, take all this stuff off. I plan on painting the boat, bottom and top. And I have a good theme for this boat. I got a picture of it in my head. I think it's going to turn out really nice. The motor is the only thing that's going to be the hang up for me. Got to make sure we can get that thing running. If not, I mean, it's going to be hard to find, you know, a repower for this thing without spending a whole lot of money. Trailer's going to need a lot of work. I mean, I'd like to paint it white again, but we will have to get all that rust off. We don't have safety chains. We don't have a jack. We don't have tail lights. We've got tail lights, but they don't work. I can't tell what shape the bunks are in, but the bunk carpet's toast. So all the usual stuff, man. I've never bought a freaking boat that had working taillights. What's the deal, y'all? Why are y'all so rough on taillights? Anyways, this is the boat. We're going to try our best on it. Like I said, I think it's cool. It's not going to be a money-making boat. I know that. So I'm going to try to keep it within budget. You know, if I get stuck with it, it'll be fun to have to take to the lake. I mean, this thing's going to be a head turner. So, all right, guys, let's get to it. Oh, I forgot to mention, check out the last year this thing was registered. Now, I'm not sure if that's the last time it was on the water, but this thing has not been registered legally on the water in a long, long time. So, definitely got my work cut out for me. So let's get to it. Yesterday I went through this thing and tried to pick out all the little pieces. Like I don't even know what this stuff goes to. Kind of bracket. That stuff might not even go to this boat for all I know. Didn't find the key, which sucks. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. Trying to find an aftermarket ignition key that has the same amount of pins on the back, I guess. Who knows? I might be able to get on eBay and find one of this era for a Johnson. I don't know if they're all the same, but anyhow, didn't find anything cool. This gas tank looks to be in pretty good shape and usable. It has the right fitting for this motor, so I'm not sure what's in here. Might need to just clean it out and put some fresh 2-stroke gas in it. But the first thing's pretty tight. The first thing I want to do is, which will probably be the most expensive thing if we can't get it running, is mess with this motor. That's really going to decide which direction to go with this boat. Whether I can get this thing up and going, well, it'll be awesome. And if not, either scrap the whole project and just redo the trailer and try to recoup a little bit of money, or repower it somehow with something else. Hopefully we can get this thing running. Let's dig into it. All right, I pulled the plugs and squirted a little 2-stroke gas in both the cylinders, and I don't really have high hopes, but let's see what happens. Oh, it caught just in. It sounded like. Well, maybe it will run. Let's try it again. Well, it's wanting to run. It's missing a lot of things, and I'm not 100% sure how much trouble it's going to be to get it all back together. As you see, it's killing me trying to pull start this thing. The starter, I can't really figure out how it goes on. I tried to bench test it. I couldn't get it to do anything, so I'm assuming it is, in fact, bad. So, I don't know. I might look up and see how much the starter is, maybe some fuel lines, and price it out from there. And if it's looking like it's going to be a whole lot of money, I might have to, you know, resort to a plan B or C. All right, let's hold off on this for a little bit of research. In the meantime, we can go ahead and start cleaning this thing up, because that's not going to cost me any money, just a little bit of time. Oh, I would like to say, I looked up the numbers on this thing, and it is indeed a 1964 40 horse Johnson. Well, I have got a new starter in, and it is working. I have it severely jerry-rigged over here. As you can see, I got a battery, and I am just touching it on the leads to the starter, but it's turning over. Well, that could have went better. I couldn't get it to run unless I sprayed starting fluid in it, which I don't really like doing in the first place, but felt like it was necessary just to see if this thing would run. And it would just run for a couple seconds, and that's it. So apparently we have a fuel delivery issue, I would assume. I know we're getting gas to the bowl, because if you squeeze the bulb, it's overflowing. So I don't know. Like I said, I need to go through this whole thing. I need to order a fuel line kit for the thing too. So I might dig into that a little bit and put this motor on the back burner again. The most important part of this whole build, I keep putting on the back burner. Anyways, until then, I guess I can start taking all this crap off the boat. All these accoutrements. Try to take the windshield off very carefully. Horn, just all this stuff. Because I'm going to start doing a little bit of body work. Since I have a down day, I need to get as much done as possible. Well, I think I'm done tinkering around for the day. I know it don't look like I did much, but I worked my butt off for a few hours. Got most of the emblems off. I got the windshield off. I did crack it one more time. Actually, you can probably see it right here. I'll see that middle crack. That sucks, but it's not like it was perfect before. I got most of the hardware off. I lack a few things up front because all these have bolts or something in them that's turning with them too. So I'm either gonna have to drill them out or get somebody to help me out. It's not a whole lot of freaking room under there. I was all up under there a second ago. Got most of the dash stuff off except for the amps. Got those pulled out. I'm gonna have to mess with the ignition. Of course, the steering wheel is still on. I boogered around with this hole some. Actually made it bigger, trying to dig out everything that wasn't, on there very good. Had a bunch of crap built up in that channel, which, as you can see, it has like a floor and then the very bottom of the boat. And it's the same way back behind that brace right there. It has another freaking floor. So I tried to get in there with water hose and wash it out as good as I could, and then with the air hose and blow it out. And then I've been blowing out this part of it too, trying to get this crack dry as I can, which it's still got some water coming out. That way, when I get off work tomorrow, I can go ahead and put some kitty hair in it and start building that bottom of that back up. So that'll be done, hopefully. I got the throttle control off too, but like I said, I think that's about it today. I'd like to get this thing as light as possible, get the motor off and put on the stand, and if I can, get this thing either chalked up on some blocks like I did the Mastercraft last year, if y'all recall. I don't think hardly any of y'all watched that video. But block it up, and then that way I can pull this trailer out and get to work on it. I've got everything for the trailer. I just need to get the boat off the trailer. But I'd like to get this trailer done, and also when it's on blocks, it'll be a little more stable and I can start doing some body work and stuff to it. All right, see you guys tomorrow. I've been doing a little bit of overtime this week, so I've only been able to get out here and jab at this thing here and there. But bring you guys up to speed, I just took some regular Bondo glass and hit a few of these spots. Remember, we had holes here, holes here. Anyways, any of the big spots, including that crack that was on the bottom, I just smeared it with glass. Then I hit all those spots with 36 grit sandpaper, rough it up. And I'm gonna go back over those spots with this stuff right here. It's Total Boat, Total Fair. It's kind of like a Bondo for boats. I don't know, I've never used it before. I hope it works out well. It's just a 2-part, mix it 1-to-1 and smear it on just like you would Bondo. So let's get to work. I gotta work another 12 tonight, so I need to hurry up and get this on. All right, I got most of the big spots swiped with that, whatever you want to call it, Total Fair. But I need a lot more, a whole bunch of little chips and stuff I saw up front. That's why it looks terrible like that. I really need to sand this whole thing down before I do that, but I just had some extra sitting in there, so I went ahead and did it, you know, for a little filler maybe. But hopefully here soon we can start making some progress on this thing. This stuff's sanding pretty good with just a little mouse sander. I got some pretty abrasive sandpaper on there, but I'm not trying to get it completely just smooth down. I'm just trying to knock the heavy off. I'm gonna go back over all this like a wet sander and a block and check for any low areas. Not wanting it to look perfect, but I want it to look pretty good. All right, I'm gonna throw my mask on and get to work. Let's not call OSHA. Let's just get to work. All right, so upon further inspection, once this thing is off the boat, this bunk right here is pretty toast. So we'll go ahead and pick up a couple bunks. So what I'm gonna do is take these bunks off, pressure wash the crap out of this thing. You see, I've already done a little bit up here. I'll talk about that in a minute. But as for right now, get this thing clean. We're gonna put new bunks on it, get rid of all this rust. We need a winch strap for the front. I went ahead and put a jack on it the other day. That way it helped me get it off the boat. Trailer lights, we'll pull them out as we attach the new wiring harness to it. And put some new tail lights on it, get this thing painted up and have it looking pretty good. And also, I'm gonna try to finish up most of the bottom of the boat, get it primed and painted, and then put it back on the trailer, because let's not talk about it. You know what I'm saying. All right, let's get to work. All right, a little update on what I've done and where I'm at. Went ahead and took the taillights off the trailer, and of course y'all saw me pressure wash it, and I went over the whole thing, the spots I could, with 80 grit sandpaper on the mouse sander, and then the spots I couldn't get, the little crevices, nooks and crannies, I just used a wire brush, try to get any flaking paint or rust off, and then I've wiped the whole trailer down with acetone. I actually was going to take the tires off and block it up so I could get these springs and stuff real good, but some of these lug nuts are not wanting to come off, so I got them soaking with some PB Blaster. All right, I'm doing all these steps because I'm going to use this right here, Eastwood Rust Encapsulator Plus. matte black. I wish I would have known they had gray. I didn't realize that until after I bought it. But that's what I have up here. I hit some of this portion of the trailer and put that on there just to see how it was going to do. As you can see, you know, it's going to have a textured finish if you don't sand it all the way down. But, you know, it's within the budget that I'm scared that I'm going to blow, so we're going to make it work. I was going to paint the trailer white. I still haven't ruled that out yet, so we'll see. All right, let's get to work. Rust encapsulated. That stuff is super runny. As you can see, I Dalmatianed up my driveway. But the good news about that is we ain't got to worry about my driveway rusting in those spots. Gotta look for the silver lining. We used one coat and it's about half a quart is what that took. And I still ain't decided on painting this thing white. That kind of reminded me how bad painting a trailer was. So I don't know. I was going to use the same white that I was using the bottom of this boat, but man, that is going to be a nightmare because going on top of this black with white is probably going to take 18 coats. And I don't feel like it. I might do the fenders just to add a little pop of color, maybe a pinstripe or something to doll it up, but I think black is looking pretty good. All right. I actually got the wood to make the bunks. I could go ahead and do that, which I might, because I'm really putting off sanding this boat. Yesterday I went ahead and added some more fiberglass at the bottom of it, and it needs to be sanded, and I'm putting that off. Procrastination. All right, let's do something besides sand fiberglass. Well, I got me several sheets of fiberglass mat right here on this keel and fiberglass resin, and I got it sanded down pretty good the other day. And as you see, I went back in with some of that Total Fair Bondo filler mess and hit a lot of these spots that's left on the boat. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and sand that down pretty good with some 80 grit, and then hopefully I can finish the rest of the bottom of the boat this morning. Well, all the white parts of the boat, and have it kind of ready for some paint. Really being held up now by not having that done. As with anything, it's taken a lot longer than I expected, so I need to hurry up and get the bottom of this boat painted so we can get it back on the trailer and then free up some space in my driveway. We got most of the body work done on the bottom part of the boat. I have sanded it all, and then I went back with soap and water and washed it yesterday, and I just got done wiping it down with acetone. It's not what this paint calls for, but that's what I got. That's what I'm going to use. I'm using Total Boat topside paint for top and bottom of this thing. I decided to go ahead and get some primer. I figured like it would be a good idea, but I'm going to put at least a coat of primer. Really, I'm going to do the whole boat. First, I'm going to go through and hit all the bare spots, the spots that I've patched. I'm going to hit the sides of the boat, even though I don't think I'm going to paint the side of the boat yet. I want this to look a little bit better. So what I plan on doing is wet sanding probably from this body line up with like 400 grit, just to kind of make it finish out a little bit better, I hope. And then I'll prime it and then paint it. Like I said, I want to go ahead and get a coat on all these spots and a whole coat on the bottom. I'm just using a cheap foam roller and a cheap chip brush. Hope it'll work out. Well, yesterday I got the bottom of the boat painted. I actually found a couple of new spots in the sides of the boat, and I went ahead and sanded all the white of the sides all the way around. Originally I had planned on using that primer on this, but that primer is, man, it's kind of thick, and I don't really like the brush strokes that it left in the spots that I put on there. Probably not doing the right thing, but what I think I'm going to try to do is just go ahead and wet sand the sides of the boat today and kind of see what it looks like. And if it looks okay, once it dries, I'm going to go ahead and just paint the gloss white on the boat. And if it turns out looking like crap, I don't know. I'll say I shouldn't have done that. I found some 320 sandpaper. Just going to wrap it around a stirring stick and block this thing out the best I can. It shouldn't take very long, I don't think. All right, let's get to it. Got her all wet sanded down, and I also went through and washed it. Tried to take an air hose and get as much water off this thing as I could, because I'm trying to rush this thing, which is never a good idea when it comes to painting. But I'm trying to get this boat done before the 4th of July. But anyhow, try to dry it off as much as I could and wipe the whole thing down with acetone. I'm not going to concern myself with the bottom of the boat today, just these sides. I'm going to get the sides and kind of, blend it in a little bit. I'm probably going to do 2 coats of the paint on the white, and then maybe do 1 or 2 on the bottom when the sides are done. But that's where we're at. We're about ready to do the paint. And for the paint, we got Total Boat. I can't really tell. It's Wet Edge White. It's the same paint I used on that Mastercraft I did last year. I'm going to pour it in a paint tray and use a little weenie roller, a little bit longer weenie roller, to put it on. And just use a little brush to kind of cut around some of the other spots, which ain't too much to cut around. I'm not even going to tape off this rub rail, because it'll just be the very bottom of it where you can't really see it. It's white and ain't going to do nothing but help it, as long as I don't get it on the face part of it. Got a little more taping off to do on the back, and then we can start rolling, I believe. We'll make sure it's dry before we get started. But anyhow, we are about ready to get painting. Got 1 coat on. This stuff really is impressive. I do not like Total Boat's John Boat paint, the aluminum paint they have, but this stuff is very, very good stuff for fiberglass boats. That's just 1 coat. I will say, keep your eye on this stuff. Keep you a brush handy, because it's very runny. Try to just dry roll it the best you can. Them streaks, if you leave a roller mark, it will run on you, and when you're cutting in, it'll run on you too. So keep a rush handy. It takes a little bit for this stuff to dry, so keep an eye on it. Inspect it for runs and touch it up. You don't want it to dry like that. You have plenty of time to work with it though. All right, I'm gonna make you guys watch me paint this boat, so I will pick it back up after this white is done. I'll show you what it looks like after 2 or 3 coats. That's what we look like after 3 coats. No, it's not the best lighting out here. I've got a lot of weird shadows going on, but looks pretty good. Going to do all that to the top now, and I'm not going to make y'all watch it. I've got most of the little body work pieces done. They sand them down, and then I can wet sand it. I still need to get a few of these little stainless steel things off and wet sand it, and then hopefully I can get it back on the trailer, moved into the garage before I can paint it, because I want this one to turn out a little bit better than the bottom. All right, let's get to it. Got her moved into the garage, taped off. Went through with all of the spots where I had a little Bondo at and hit it with some primer and wiped the whole thing down with grease and wax remover. And we're ready to paint, I believe. For the blue, we're going with Wet Edge Classic Whaler Blue. Pretty close to what was on here. It'll be a little bit darker. This is probably faded with time. I think it's going to take at least 3 coats, and I'm hoping it'll turn out pretty good. That's why I wanted to get it in the garage. Got a bunch of trees, as you've probably seen in my videos, and they steadily drop crap and bugs and everything else. And speaking of trees, had a pretty good storm blow through last night, and I am one less tree. As you can see, my sidewalk goes to nothing. So as I didn't have enough stuff to do, I got another little chore I'm gonna have to take care of. But anyways, let's go ahead and start on this one, get it knocked out. All right, so the next day after that first coat, I don't know how well it's going to show up on here, but I'm not really happy with the paint. Of course, I got some stupid bugs here and there that flew into the paint, but it's just some trash. There you go. You can kind of see it here, which is another bug. And not happy with it. And they actually recommend between coats to sand this stuff down with like a Scotch-Brite and then wipe it down. They have their own thinner that they recommend wiping down, you know, with the cloth, then wiping it down with a dry rag, and then putting the next coat on. So I guess I'm going to do that and maybe strain that paint. I don't know where the trash came from, really. I mean, it's everywhere, though. The white didn't do that on either boat. So I'm assuming that it came out of the paint. I got some strainers, so I'm going to try that and see how it does, and I'll bring you guys back. Alright, here we go after 3 coats. It's okay. I mean, definitely not perfect by any means, which I didn't want it to be. Let's just say I was hoping for somewhere around a 7.5, 8, and it came out being, I don't know, maybe a 6. Maybe I'm being a little hard on myself. I mean, I was just brushing and rolling it. If I wanted it to be any better, I should have took extra time and, you know, made me a little temporary spray booth and sprayed this stuff, which is possible in case anybody wants to know. But like I said, I mean, I wouldn't want it to be perfect. I got still got some tape left and some spots where it bled through. I'll clean that up later on. But I wouldn't want it to be perfect, and, you know, can't beat myself up about it. Not my favorite paint job, but hopefully it's probably gonna look a lot better too, getting it out in some natural light instead of in here in the garage. All right, onward. Now we need to just finish up, right? All right, we have just finishing touches, which is everything other than paint, basically, left to do on this boat. And like I said, I wanted to get done by 4th of July. Today is June 29th, so I don't know if I'm gonna meet the deadline or not, guys. But I have just about everything that I need to finish it. I went and picked up some carpet today from Lowe's. I just got some gray indoor-outdoor carpet. I already have the glue for it. I'd like to paint the back section of the boat, where it's covered, just with like some primer white, just so it looks a little bit cleaner when you're under there. I need to do the electrical. I guess I'm gonna do the electrical before I lay the carpet and then put the seats. I already got the seats for the boat. Electric, went ahead and got a bilge pump for it. I have, of course, a battery. I need to mount the battery tray. I bought some interior lights for it. And of course, all the original electrical stuff it had, you know, the navigation lights, the rear light, horn. Anything else? I don't know. I bought a little switch panel for it, which kind of sucks, you know. It's kind of going to make it look a little more modern, but I felt like it was the best way to go about it, the easiest way to go about it. Go ahead and just order a panel. It's got the horn button and everything on it and 3 switches. So that ought to be pretty straightforward, wiring all that stuff. The original wiring harness, I'm going to replace the wires that go to, I think it's the temperature, and probably all the engine stuff that runs all the way to the key. I bought a new key ignition too. We're going to be putting that on. So I got a lot going on. It is 100 degrees today for a high here in Tennessee. So perfect timing to be out here in this sauna of a garage working on a boat. So let's go ahead and get to it. Well, this boat didn't come with any keys, and first thing I did was talk to a locksmith, and he said it'd be cheaper just to find a new ignition switch that comes with keys. So I ordered one that looked close. Of course, when it came in, it was totally different. It had extra spots for crap on the back, and none of the wires, the color code on the back of it matched any of the color wires on the back of this one. So I messaged him back and told him, man, I'm willing to just pay you to come key this thing, and he never got back with me. So apparently he doesn't want to do it. But I did a little research and I found out that on these ignitions, the switch, if you take it out, it'll have a number stamped on it, and that code can get you a key made. So I found the code on it, and lo and behold, I found some place that sold the keys. I just got it in, and really hoping this works, because if not, it's gonna be a lot of work for me. So fingers crossed. All right, great. Other than cleaning up the rat's nest of wiring I'm done with all the wiring, I think. Basically what I did is I got that switch that I got. It's a nightlight switch. It has 3 rockers on it and a horn button. They were all linked together, and I broke the little piggyback hot off of every one and run them back to their own fuse. I got me a little fuse block here. I just used 3, and I have a battery disconnect right here, running from my battery to the disconnect to the fuse block, of course negative to the fuse block. That turns it on. It actually has a little voltmeter on it and a USB charging port too. The horn lights up. This horn is not working. I had to buy another one. I actually tried to rewire it up, and it's too sick for me to fix. This switch right here is the navigation lights. Had to replace both bulbs, but they're working. You see? So we got nav lights. This middle switch is the interior lights. I just ran some of them blue LED strips kind of tucked up there high to where they're not visible. And the last one, put a little bilge pump back there. And that's gonna be it. Like I said, I ordered a new horn off Amazon. It's the same size as this one. Kind of sucks. It would have been nice to have that original horn working, but I'll keep it, and I'm sure it can be fixed. Just, you know, you might have to rewind everything in it, but I don't have time to fool with that. If anybody wants to know how I rigged up the bilge pump, I just bent a piece of aluminum and screwed the bottom of the bilge pump to the piece of aluminum, the aluminum to the transom. Those are some kind of short screws. It's always a good idea to have a bilge pump in any boat. Need to clean up all these wires, and what we'll have left is the interior. And once I get the wires cleaned up, I'll kind of give you guys a little rundown of what I think I'm gonna do on it. Whose is that? That must be Amanda's, leaving that out here. Definitely not mine. All right, clean these wires up. We got the wiring a little bit cleaned up. Looking a lot better than what it was a second ago. All right, so this interior, what I originally wanted to do was just run carpet all the way up, both sides, across the seats. But when you really get down and look at it and think about it, man, that is going to be a pain in the butt, because you see these ribs are in there. You know, how are you gonna get carpet down in that? You're gonna have to like 82 pieces carpet. So what I'm going to try to do, I hope it turns out okay, because if not, it's just gonna be a lot of wasted time, is I got a lot of this white left over, is paint it from up there where you can't really see down to right about right here. You know, maybe a little bit more, you know, just for covering my bases, but, and then go in with carpet across these little bench seat parts, and you know, the very bottom where your feet are going to be. You know, maybe somewhere right there. You can't really tell, but it's kind of got a body line where it goes down and then kicks back towards the bottom of the boat, right in there. So it'll be carpet, which that ain't going to be no easy task, doing carpet. This front part right here, I have no idea what these boats look like, the flooring of these boats. I finally did find some information about the boats, but I've yet to see the interior of the boats. So I'm just doing what I can with this. I don't even really get this little plate right here. I'm guessing that's a brace for the boat, but why it's got a deeper well right here, I don't know. And then you got these holes too to drain, so you don't want to cover those up. Anyhow, that's what I plan on doing right now. Today it's probably going to take at least 2 coats. So that's what I'm saying. It sucks if it's not going to work out, because it's going to be a lot of wasted time. But we're going to try it. Like I said, I got the paint, and all it's going to take is a little bit of time. So let's get to that, and I guess I'll bring you guys back when I'm done with that, because I can't really move on with putting these seats in until I get the carpet laid, and I don't want to get the carpet laid until I get that painted. So I got to do that now. But that's all we really like on this boat, as far as the boat itself, is this interior. Then all we got left is putting that motor on and crossing our fingers and toes that thing ain't gonna give us fits. All right, let's get to painting. All right, that's what it looked like after 2 coats of the white And then I went with the Whaler Blue and just kind of dipped my paintbrush in and kind of flicked it. As you can see, it got a little excited in some spots. I'm gonna go back with some white and try to get rid of those drips. That paint's so thin, it's hard to control. But I thought maybe that splatter effect will kind of help hide some of that rough fiberglass stuff. And it's okay. Like I said, I got to go through and fix some of these drips. I think that'll be fine. But it's good enough. We can go ahead and move on to the carpet. This is the carpet I got. I just got some gray indoor, outdoor carpet from Lowe's. Stuff's pretty cheap. And that's going to be my tools of the trade. Tape measure, some scissors. Might use a razor knife here and there. Got a colored pencil to mark. This is the back side of it, so I can mark it up without it bleeding through. And a straight edge. And I don't know how many pieces this is going to take. Guess I'm going to have to cut a piece at a time and see what's going to work, trim what don't work, and hope for the best. I'll make sure it fits good before I try and glue it down. I said, it's not like I can do this in one piece. I mean, I guess it's possible. Everything's possible, right? But I definitely don't have the patience for that. So, wish me luck. Not my best work by far, but it's in there. Still got a couple spots to trim up here and there, but it's in, and I think it's going to work for us. I ended up not using that carpet glue, that very first piece that y'all seen me put in. It just, I don't know, I didn't like the way it was tacking up, which the lack of tack. So dug around and I found this. I can't even remember what I got this for, but this worked a whole lot better. I don't know if that carpet glue is just really old, or maybe because it's going on the fiberglass. I don't know. I'm not a carpet expert. I'm not an expert at anything. But I'll tell you, this tacked up a lot faster. It feels like it got a lot better adhesion. Which that glue might harden up over time, or by tomorrow. If not, I'm gonna peel it back up and spray a little bit of this on there, and hopefully that'll get it. All right, that is it for the carpet. I got a little bubble I need to smooth out, a couple bubbles, but once I put the seats in, I think the little boo-boos I made on the carpet install will go away. And I got a buttload of carpet left. I way over-ordered on it. Looks like I'm going to be doing gray bunk carpet for a while. But that's okay. Rather have too much than not enough. There's a joke in there. All right, let's go ahead and knock out the rest of this interior. Well, for seats, I got these really cheap little low back white bucket seats. Got them from Academy for, I want to say like 36 bucks. They were literally some of the few seats that I could find that were all white, that I could get locally without paying $1 million for shipping. So that's why I went with them, not just because they're cheap, but cheap part work too. And I picked up some of these bases from Academy too. These don't have the greatest reviews. There's several different companies that make them. And basically what happens, you put like a swivel on the bottom of the seat and it slides in here. And this thing right here is spring loaded. So you're supposed to be able to slide your seat in and then push it this way and slide the seat back out. Like I said, a lot of people complain about it not being able to get the seats back out. So I'm gonna have to make sure that I got them where I need them to be before I actually lock them in place. But I mean, that's about the only way I could really come up with mounting these seats. I mean, it seems cut and dry until you really start thinking about it. Mounting seats is really no good way to get to it. I also got these swivels already mounted to them. So try to figure out where I want these, mount those, and then slide the seats in, and we'll pretty much be done with this interior. If I had to do it over again, I could do it a lot better, but I think it's going to serve its purpose, at least. Kind of messed up on that top. Should have made it a little bit taller, but like I said, it's going to work. A lot better than a gaping hole, I suppose. Well, this motor is electric shift, and it has a wiring harness that plugs into the back of the boat. And I went ahead and took off the insulation, if that's what you want to call it, that was covering them. And as you can see, they're not looking too good. So I am going in one at a time and finding a good wire and tying it in, which this one was popped out, but I'm going in and replacing all these one at a time so I don't get them mixed up, because I don't have a bunch of different color wire, but I have a bunch of pink, so we're going with a bunch of pink until I run out of pink, and then we'll probably go with red or black. But anyways, that's what I'm doing. It's going to be a minute, but I don't think this thing will have too much of a fighting chance looking like this. All right, guys, this ain't exactly where I wanted to stop this video. I wanted to, do a whole video from start to putting it in the water. But as where I'm at right now, I'm kind of in a crossroads of what to do with it. I have a little bit more to do on that boat motor. As you saw, I got it running, but it does need several things. I know it needs the starter solenoid, I think, is bad because it's not starting on the key. I'm having to jump it, and it's not shifting into gears, and the throttle cable is frozen up. So I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take me to chase down those parts, if I can even find them, which I already ordered the solenoid. That was easy, but that throttle cable and trying to figure out what's going on with that shifter, that could be a bad lower unit. I don't know how long that's going to take me. I'm actually looking at another parts motor potentially that's really cheap. It's a couple hours away, but it might be worth it going to pick that up. But if I can't get everything solved, I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way to repower this thing, so I'm not going to be able to get much money for it as it sits. But I feel like I'm done with 95% of the cosmetic stuff, so I thought, why not go ahead and end the video. Plus, I don't want the video to be like 8 hours long, so I'll revisit it, hopefully. I also trying to get another project. Don't worry, it's a John boat. I'm trying to pick that up real soon, and I want to go ahead and get started on it. Not done with this boat, obviously. I still want to do another video on it, you know, with getting the motor running and actually getting this thing back out on the water. I think it deserves that. Really cool boat. I'm happy with how it turned out. It's not perfect. I'm sure it looks better, you know, in pictures and on the camera versus in real life. But like I said, I'm happy with how it turned out. It's came a long way, I'll say that. And this has been the most work I have put into a boat to date. It tried to break me, I'll say that. All that body work was a pain in the butt, sanding fiberglass on your face for days and days. But it paid off. I said, I don't think I could have got it looking any better unless I was going to, you know, use a cup gun and spray it, which hindsight, you know, I kind of wish that I did, because it's so close to being really, really nice. It's nice, but it could have been really, really nice. But I'm always hard on all the boats that I do. I'm really came in pretty well in budget. Like I said, I still have a few things to buy for the motor, but as it sits right now, I have just a tad over $2,000 in this boat. I mean, that's not terrible. You know, $400 for this boat. I mean, you see them. You don't see a whole lot of these style boats, but the ones you do see are fairly cheap. So I don't know, maybe give you guys an idea of something cheap to tinker around with. A lot of elbow work potentially, but I mean, get you on the water fairly cheap. I'm real excited about getting this boat out on the water and just towing it around. I towed it yesterday to get some pictures of it to a park down the road from the house. And man, it's just cool just seeing this old thing at least go down the road. And I can't imagine what it's going to feel like to actually get it in the water for what I think would be the first time since 1985. I'm probably going to put it in text somewhere earlier in the video, so maybe you caught it. But if you didn't, I know I opened the video saying that I thought this was a 1964. It actually has a serial number stamped up under one of the little handle things on the back of the boat. And it's kind of like some of the early John boats. It's actually a date code in there. And this boat was actually built on September of 1959. So 1959 Owens Runabout. Runabout's the style of the boat. I'm not exactly sure what they call it. You know, who knows? I might have saved this thing from the junkyard, and you know, that makes me pretty happy. I'm happy the way it turned out. Like I said, I am already trying to get another boat for the next build. I really appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.